No? Okay. All right, and now for that beautiful outro, because I just like stuff. All right, guys.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, you ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crap from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing, so cold. Behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in feelings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got nothing for change, I just love the feeling. No, I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. 'Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. 'Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. 'Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I don't lie at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I don't lie at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. From the heathens, got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
We're back. We are back. I am back. The Cap Space Jam show podcast, because this is recorded. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. It's going to be pre-recorded, not live today, because I just wanted to get this done. I keep moving dates. Things have been happening in my life. Unfortunately, I did lose someone very close to me, and that's affected me in more ways than I was able to deal with at the time, but I do feel motivated today. So I'm like, let me record this and just get this out of the way, because it's been too long, guys. It's been well over a month. I believe the last episode, I'm going to check right now. Yeah, it's been a minute. The exact date of the last episode was with David and Ronnie 2 months ago, November 15th, 2022. So it's been a while, and I missed doing this, and I want to be back, and I want us to be back on a regular schedule. And it's a perfect time to come back because, the beginning of the season, there's only so much to talk about. You talk about the matchups that are happening around our league and all the things that are happening in the NBA. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at, these matchups, and I'm going to also talk about a couple of things that's happened in the league the past couple of months. So first of all, we lost 2 members. One of them was replaced, and we welcome him with Timmy, who is taking over for somebody's team. He has James Harden. Yeah, it's I'm so Harden right now is the name of the team. And he is very Harden. I guess we'll get to that in a little while for the standings and all that stuff. But for now, so that's that, right? And also we had a breakup. So a part of it was literally the fantasy basketball team. It was Brian and Christopher. They were teaming up on there, and they had a falling out. If you ask Brian, apparently there's some rancid meat being distributed around the facilities to the players and to the owners. And he didn't even tell Brian about that. So, that's really where the betrayal lies. It wasn't really the rancid meat, according to my sources. It was more about the overall, just the lying, like just hiding it. That's not cool, man. Like if you're gonna do rancid meat, it's fine. Apparently, they both agreed on, expired meat, but rancid meat and like horse meat and things of that sort. Some weird stuff going on with there. I don't know what's going on with Christopher's team. Hopefully, he gets that together. He has a lot to work on, but he did do some moves. Like we have some trades we're going to talk about. He made the first trade that didn't include myself, and actually, since we last did this, I made several trades. So I'm also going to talk about those, and I guess I'll talk a little bit about my team. And then we'll look into everybody else's team. Not that my team is the most interesting, but I have the most to say. I have made a lot of trades since our last time being here. So I'm going to go ahead and show our doc with the rosters and everything. It is up to date as far as I know. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. But to my knowledge, it is all up to date. So here is the look. Let me see how I'm looking on your guys' side. Okay. All right, so you see my team. Last time we were here, I had Devin Booker. I had CJ McCollum. I had several players that are no longer here, most of them being wild cards, even Kyrie Irving. I made a lot of moves. I kind of gave up on the season. At the time, I was traveling 500 around that range. As a Yankee fan, normally, like in sports, it's championship or bust. If it was the Knicks, it's different. But me, like playing fantasy, I'm going for all of it. I'm not trying to sneak into the playoffs and just that. So I wasn't happy with where my team was heading with Devin Booker and Kyrie. They were both eating up a lot of money, at least this season. And I wanted more flexibility. I really don't have that much flexibility. Even now, like look at my salary. Next year, I only have $29 million to spend on, as it stands right now, 5 players. So I'm really looking at 2024 as like my big year to like really reshape the team. But I think I also did enough next year. I definitely, as of right now, I hold Christopher's NBA draft pick, and I'm hoping to land Victor Wembanyama. I'm just going to say it right there. There's no secret. I'm hoping to hold that first round pick. And let Jaden Ivey and Paolo Banchero develop a little more. And maybe I get lucky with Mark Williams, who at times he has shown potential, as did Jeremy Sochan. I just think they need a couple of years, and we'll see what happens. And of course, RJ Barrett, I think he's going to get better year after year. So as far as this season goes, you're going to see in a little while. Yeah, I am where I am. I still might sneak into the playoffs, surprisingly. But as far as my team goes, probably not a championship team, but who knows? And when I say who knows, you're going to see, because in this league, as it's set up with the salaries, a couple of injuries can truly derail your team. And again, I'm going to talk about that later. But for now, let's get into the trades. I'm going to talk about some trades here. Okay, so Brad had just recently traded Caleb Martin, which was one of his wildcard picks. As a matter of fact, let's go over to his team right here. He traded Caleb Martin and a first-round pick for Jeremy Grant. So it is a wildcard slot. And if you haven't watched these episodes in the past, these wildcard slots do reset at the end of the year, and they get sent back into the draft pool, which will be combined also with the rookie draft. So the rookie draft / wildcard draft, depending on where they are roster-wise, is really crucial. Like the first and second round pick is really valuable in this league, more than a normal draft pick would be, just because you have that flexibility with the wild card and the rookies. So that's what he did. And Brad, as we're going to see in a little while, standings wise, he's in a really good position. He was in a good position from the beginning, and now he just beefed up his team. Kevin Durant, Kyle Lowry. Well, I say Kyle Lowry like it's a big deal now. It's not, but nevertheless, he added Draymond Green, which we'll talk about that as well. That was somebody he got from me. He's looking really good, and he also does have some flexibility. I will say his salary is set to drop under the salary cap. He may be negative $12 million next season. But again, the salary cap is going to increase based off what the NBA percentage increases. So he may not have much to make up for at all. And not to mention his roster is pretty much set no matter what. So anyway, and look, I mean, he's got Thomas Bryant, who's really become a steal now, as with Anthony Davis going down. He's put up some good numbers. He got Walker Kessler. Yeah, really good team. But I guess we'll get into some more of that later. I guess let's look back at my trades while we do this. And of course, like I said, Christopher. Oh yeah, let me talk about his. So he traded me his first round draft pick. So for him to pick up a draft pick from Brad, that is the prayer that he needed because there's not a lot of 16 million to spend on all of these players here, and no draft picks for the next several years. Brian was the catalyst in trading most of those picks, so that's why there's naturally just going to be some friction. It's almost like he sabotaged Christopher's team, and it's funny because when we first were talking about the idea of co-managers, I said there was a possibility that someone planning to leave would potentially collude against their own team for the betterment of the squad that they would join later on. That didn't happen, but I don't know. There's something going on between those two. I think in the future we have to set up a one-on-one meeting with Brad and with Christopher and Brian. But we're going to talk more about that in a little while. So let me go to the trades that I made, okay? Because I made a lot. Like I said, I decided that I don't care to be a 500 team. I want to set myself up to really compete for a championship. That's what I'm going for. I'm going for the rings. The ring is the thing. So the biggest trade I'm going to save, but one of them I traded CJ McCollum to Brian for his 2024 second round pick and 75 bidding money, which you would be surprised. I mean, I don't know if he plans on trading CJ McCollum. David was talking to him about doing a trade, and apparently things have fell through. It is curious. Like, what is he going to do with CJ McCollum? I mean, he took over for Ed's team. Nice guy, Ed, which, by the way, thank you, Ed, for all your contributions. He's a nice guy. He just wanted to spend more time with his family. And there's literally, there's nothing I could say about that. So nothing wrong with that. I mean, but Ed, he definitely drafted top heavy when he first put this team together. Of course, Bradley Beal, 43 million. That's a killer. That's a tough one. But he has Scotty Barnes. He overpaid initially. He has Karl Anthony Towns. This team has pieces to do well. But as we're going to look at the standings later, it's probably not enough time. So it'll be interesting to see what CJ McCollum is going to do. Brian did say that his entire team is for sale. So for anybody watching, you see any player there, he's willing to trade him to you. No question about it. He's looking for flexibility. Only one free agent slot, but he's negative 9 million. So it's either going to be more the same next season, or he's going to have to do some serious redecorating with that squad. Or at least be attentive, because Ed didn't really have the time to set the lineups as much as he would have liked to. So maybe if he's attentive to the squad, he could do much more than what has been happening this year. And again, we're going to look at that in a little while. So besides that, I also traded to Gary, Mr. Zubac, who I picked up from the waiver wire, for Evan Fournier and $50 bidding money and a second round pick for 2023. So if you noticed, I'm starting to pick up a lot of picks. I'm basically the OKC Thunder. I guess that's what I'm aiming for. So let's look at Gary's team. He picked up Zubac. And by the way, we just faced off. Gary is like middle of the pack right now. His team could certainly flip. Zion Williamson going down is definitely a bummer for him. LeBron James has been great, but of course, he's gonna start to miss a couple of games. There's just a lot of names on here that haven't really worked out for him, and that's why he's kind of going through a tough patch. Again, we're going to talk more about that later. But I think the hope was that Zubac would give him a big boost, and at the time Zion was healthy. And it just hasn't worked out yet. But we'll see if he ends up regretting that trade. Still time left to see otherwise. Then me and my friend, Mr. David, who was here last time, we made a trade. I traded Kyrie Irving to him for JT Thor, $40 bidding money, and a second round pick in 2024. Again, I'm picking up a lot of picks. That's what I'm aiming for. A lot of bidding money. I'm just looking for flexibility. So when 2024 comes around, I am ready, and I'm going to reshape my entire team and potentially take over this league. That's what I'm aiming for. Don't come at me. I'm sorry if I'm not looking at the camera. I'm also reading here because there was quite a bit of trades that were made. Now here's the big one. Okay, so I also traded Draymond Green to Brad for his 2025 first round pick. He also sent me Alex Caruso just for rostering purposes, and Caruso is definitely someone who I will be looking to trade. I still have Norman Powell, so basically, like if you're in my position and you're uh not satisfied with where you are, you definitely want to get rid of these wildcard picks because otherwise you're just sitting there for nothing. This is almost like free money for you. You could trade this to somebody who is competing and get yourself some bidding money or a pick or whatever you could get. It's better to lose them for something rather than nothing. So now here's the big trade. And I'm going to preface by saying I know I overpaid, but I do not want to hear it from nobody. I felt this was necessary. My team just simply wasn't going how I wanted it to go. So I had to make a move. Otherwise, this league was going to be boring for me. Okay. So I had traded to Zach. I got him to spend money. Okay. I got him to spend money, which is big. He got me, though. He did get me. Okay. I traded Devin Booker. And as you can see, I'm eating money to make it work, both this year and next year. I just put Devin Booker's contract in place of Paolo Banchero's. I'm eating $33 million this year and $36 million next year. And I also sent him Davion Mitchell, Jake LaRavia, and Jabari Smith. And I got Paolo Banchero, Jordan Nwora, I can't even pronounce his damn name, Jaden Ivey, and Xavier Tillman. I said that out of order, but you know what the two important names were. It was Paolo Banchero and it was Jaden Ivey. That was the team for me. I know. It looks like I overpaid, but if you look at the team that I have now, I have young talent and flexibility, players that are going to be available for me for the next several years, especially for 2024. I got Banchero and Ivy, two young guns. I still got Mr. RJ Barrett. You know, we haven't been on D Takes on 3 in a while, but it is still always going to be RJ Barrett hour. Anytime I'm on any podcast, it doesn't matter what podcast I'm on. Anyway, but I'm not gonna go too crazy. Okay, sorry for yelling in your ears. But moving on, we got Robert Williams still here, and he's going to be available that year. And I expect to compete next year too. By the way, I just don't have a ton of money to spend, so I'm not going to go too crazy. And I still have Kyrie. By the way, going back to the David trade, I am paying his 22 salary, as you can see there, but I am maintaining his free agent rights, which means when he goes for bidding, I have the option to match whatever he has bidded for and keep him on my team for next year. I don't know if I'm going to do that because I only have 29 million in network. We'll see how much the salary cap increases. Again, it goes by the percentage of the NBA. So if the NBA increases their cap by 30%, we're going to do the same thing. Of course, that's super high. That's not going to happen. I'm just throwing that out there. So yeah, I'm super happy with that trade that I made. I know I overpaid, but all of a sudden the landscape of my team looks completely different. I did hit the reset button, and I've been able to win a couple of games, which again, we're going to see that in a little bit when I go back to the standings. We're going to be able to check that out. Okay, so we're going to go back here. We're going to go down to Zach's team and see what he has now. Like I said, I got him to spend money for once. His salary cap, I mean, he's in a prime position, not only this year, but definitely next season with this trade. Now you have Devin Booker at $0. Not only is that a valuable trade piece if he decides to trade him, but now all you have to do is fill in these slots. You got Brooke Lopez, Miles Turner, and Jalen Noel. You can make trades. You can add a couple of free agency pieces, and you have these max contracts. And then, by the way, when you're going to see his standings later, and by the way, he says he hates his division because his division is really good. So he needs a trade like this. He needs to make moves like this to compete in his division. He looks really scary, like moving forward. If he plays his cards right, he could be a powerhouse in this league. We'll see what happens, but he has a lot of flexibility. Of course, 2024 comes around. It's going to be my time anyway, so I'm not even going to worry about this negative 11 million that he has here. That's not going to be negative 11 million by the time we get around to that. At that point, you're talking about 2 salary increases, so not a big deal. So yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as the trades go, like I said, we have new members, and we said goodbye to some of our other members. I'm going to look at the standings, and I'm going to talk about specific teams here because there is some noteworthy results that I don't want to say I didn't expect it. Actually, some people called it early on in the year when we were talking about our predictions. But I didn't see it quite going the way that it has gone so far. So let's look at that. I'm going to open something here, guys. Okay. So I'm going to switch us over to Yahoo and see what's going on. So I'm going to stop that. You see my face nice up and up close. And we're going to go head to Yahoo. Okay. Here we are. All right. So, sorry, I don't know why I took us here, guys, but okay. So we're going to look at the standings real quick. As you can see, we got a lot of matchups going on. I don't know if I'm going to keep reviewing every matchup. At this point, we're at week 14, and I reviewed like the first 3 matchups. But as far as this week goes, you could see Brad is 13-0, and I'm going to really focus on his team. Like I said, he put himself in a really good position with the wildcard slots. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. That's exactly what they're for. If you're in a position where you're ready to compete, you look at those weaker teams and try to steal those wildcard picks, even though he did pay a little bit. Because, like I said, the first-round draft picks are very expensive. Like, they're very valuable. And he also, by the way, traded me a first-round pick. I think I said that earlier with Draymond Green. So he gave him 2 valuable picks, but he may have cashed himself in for a championship this year. And, you know, if it's there for you, you got to take it, right? I'm waiting 2 years to win 1 ring. He's like, let me just get mine now. And he's still in a pretty good position moving forward to win more. But he's almost locked it in my opinion. We'll see. Because I really thought this man right here had an extremely tough team. I was scared of Ronnie's team. And if we go in here, you're going to see injuries have eaten him up. Like, you know, Cade Cunningham out for the year. Lonnie Walker, again, maybe not a significant piece in a regular league, but when you're limited to what you have and you really can't use the waiver wire that much, you can't afford to lose players like this. And I'm not even going to pronounce this man's name, but we know what he was doing when he was healthy. And Paul George is here and he's there and he's not, and he's back, you know, back and forth. So he's been dealing with injuries. And as we said early on, a few injuries could change the entire landscape of your team. You could suddenly go from a powerhouse to a team that's, you know, kind of floating in space. And I'm thankful for it, Ronnie. I appreciate it because I was giving you most of the credit, like for having the toughest team. But I'm still in this. I'm 6-7. I could, you know, win a couple of games in a row because this league, by the way, I just want to mention, we do have the seedings. It's going to go 1 through 8. However, all 4 division winners will be in the playoffs. So if Ronnie stays where he's at and I don't, even though he's the 10th overall best record, he would still make the playoffs as an 8th seed. So again, if I am somehow able to jump over him, I will indeed make the playoffs myself. But I'm not too caught up on that. I do want to make it. I'm still setting my lineups, which we'll get into that later. Not everybody's setting their lineups, guys, and I hope eventually everybody does. I understand it's early in the year, and it's kind of a drag at some point because you don't really have to do much with the waiver wire, and trades are kind of hard to make. It's just like the league. If you look at the NBA, there aren't as many trades in the regular season as there are in other leagues. That's at least as far as like baseball goes, because of the salary cap crunching and things of that sort. So it's a little drag, but I do hope everybody starts setting their lineups more. Maybe we got to like put some money on the line or something. But I just want to talk about my team again. Of course, we just saw it, but still setting my lineup, still doing what I got to do. I did lose to Gary last week. Damn it. It sucks because, you know, bragging rights are important in any conversation. But yeah, I could easily find myself in the playoffs. As far as the Ant Farm, Mr. Austin, I'm surprised. I don't know if he's been super active. I know he was dealing with some things on the side, but he still has potential to do well. I mean, maybe not this season. The season's pretty much a wrap for him. But then again, he's only 3 games back, so a lot can happen. We still have a couple of weeks. We're going up to 20 weeks in this season. We're only on week 14, so anything could happen, but it's looking like that has pretty much taken shape. Now, I'm going to save the Toon Squad division for last because, yeah, their situation is very complicated. It can go either way, and I understand this is Zach's team, by the way, Poison Ivy. I can understand why he hates his damn division, because he has to deal with Brad 13-0 and David 12-1. All right, but moving forward, look, we're going to talk about the Sports Page blog as a website. He did really well the draft early on, and I had a feeling he was going to do very well. And he is 3 games ahead of Gary, who is 8-4. Gary could definitely find himself back in contention, but just the way that the Sports Page blog has handled their team, it doesn't look like they're going to give up. The only 2 losses they have had has been really against tough teams. I believe he lost once against David, and I believe Brad. Of course, everybody lost to Brad so far, I believe. Well, no, I think he's going to face his 14th team. So as long as he can cap it off, he is going to complete a perfect game over everybody. So, yeah. And then we have, I'm so hardened right now. For the Flint Tropics, this team could definitely change in an instant. Devin is 7-6. He started off really strong. He did start to slip a little bit. Breaking the Sheets, that is Brian's team, I believe. It's him and Davis have a pretty similar team. I don't know. I mean, of course, Bradley Beal is hard to depend on. Karl Anthony Towns is down. Damian Lillard is on and off now. Scotty Barnes hasn't been the most consistent. So, yeah, he's had a tough time. But he also admits to not paying attention as much. He's 2-11. He's, we already talked about him, so I'll save that for later. A big disappointment right here. I'm not even going to, sugarcoat this. Ben Simmons, of course, hasn't been the most consistent. And there's some injuries on this team, of course. I get it, but definitely the lineup has not been set as much as I would have hoped. We'll see what happens moving forward. We'll see if, as a group, it was Kenny and it was also Eric. There was 2 guys who drafted Eric, and to his credit, he's the one that drafted the team. And Kenny was the one that was hoping, he was hoping that Kenny would set the lineups and really be the coach for this team because it had potential. I mean, there was a lot of injuries. I don't know if they were going to be a championship team, but there was depth, and it just hasn't worked out for them. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's still early. Well, it's not early for this season. This season's done for them. But they could always bounce back in one off season. Things could change. And that's the beauty of this league. You could be 1-12 now, and we're going to focus on you in a second, Chris. But you could flip it around in one season, depending how you play your cards. So let's look at the Toon Squad. And it just so happens Toon Squad is probably the best name out of all of our divisions. And it is indeed the best division in the league. No questions asked. Brad, I mean, like I said, he picked up those wild card trades. And he already had a team that was set moving forward. Credit to Ronnie, because he mentioned when I asked what was the most feared team, he mentioned Brad, and he was absolutely correct. This team is dangerous. I mean, it's deep for any league, not just this league, but especially this league when you really have to kind of trade your way out of whatever slump you're in. He lost Kevin Durant. He lost Tyler Hero on and off all year. Yet he still finds himself competing and out powerhouse. It's crazy how good his team is. Shout out to Brad for not only being active and putting together a really strong team, but it's arguable whether or not he is the best team in the league because overall, David has scored more points, 16,897 points over Brad. It's just that he's just so happened to face Brad and lose that matchup. He has Kyrie Irving, who looks like he's motivated and he's looking to earn his contract. And he picked him up from me, and that was a big trade for him. He has Donovan Mitchell, who has been playing out of his mind. Lauri Markkanen is exactly the steal that I can't even take credit for that. I thought he would be good. I didn't think he would be this good. He's literally been one of the best fantasy picks all year, especially for you guys that picked him in late rounds. You got Pascal Siakam, who was playing as a top 5 fantasy pick early on. He's still putting up those great numbers. He just missed some time. John Morant. Oh, I mean, like, this team could also easily win the championship right now. I mean, of course, it's by record, but just based off depth and talent overall. And to credit to David, because he's been so frustrated with Sadiq Bey, who's been like almost a non-factor for him, but he's finally starting to turn it around. And I hope not. And of course, Rudy Gobert, another one that could easily, because he hasn't been the most consistent, he could easily turn it around. Killian Hayes has some value with Cade Cunningham being out for the entire year. So from top to bottom, David's team is looking really good. He's trying to make trades. He did want me to. Yeah, okay. I was thinking of editing that out. I'm gonna keep it. I don't care. Somebody was calling me. Okay, moving forward. I'm looking at David's team. All right. So Killian Hayes, yes. So you look at this team as a whole. There's factors all over the place. There's still room to grow, but you like realistically, he could just remain this way for the rest of the season. Terry Rozier, I want to see what numbers he's been putting up. I know it's like on and off. Actually, yeah, he's averaging 20 points a game with LaMelo, God forbid. And I hope LaMelo does not go down, but that's another thing that could just really shoot his team through the roof. And it's already really great. So shout out David. And like I said, he is sad because nobody wants to trade with him. So we'll see what happens with him. I do want to talk about Zach's team again. Again, another good team here, 14,500 points. If I'm not mistaken, that's definitely near the upper echelon. In fact, that's near the upper echelon. He's really good. I mean, he made that big trade with me. He was willing to go all in. He's gonna make the playoffs, I believe. He still should be in the playoffs, but he should definitely. If he was in any other league right now, aside from the Flint Tropics, he would be first or second at least. So definitely first in our league. So we'll see what happens. That's going to be one of the strongest divisions. That's basically the AL East for all you baseball fans. Let's look at Zach overall. We already looked at his roster a little bit earlier, but yeah, as you can see, even with the injuries, and I mean, especially with the injuries, the fact that he's still able to win some games, if these guys come back healthy, it's all about getting hot at the right time. He just needs a couple of things to go wrong for like Brad and David. But if Chris Middleton comes back, Tyrese Halliburton comes back, Devin Booker comes back healthy, then, yeah, he's going to be a problem. He is looking to trade Tyrese Halliburton. He just wanted me to throw that out there for everybody in the league that's watching this program. Okay. So that's pretty much everything. Oh, and I do want to focus on Ronnie's team. I believe I know I mentioned it a little bit more, but man, Ronnie, I'm not going to say I hope you get healthy because damn it, I'm trying to get into the playoffs too. But he's been having a hard time, man. So I think that's about it. I don't think there's really much else to talk about. Like I said, at some point we're going to have Brian and Christopher get on here and talk about the scandal that was going on. Like somebody leaked something. I don't know what's happening. But nevertheless, thank you so much, guys, for watching. We hit 32 minutes today. And we're back. Okay. I'm going to try to be on a much more consistent schedule, try to get more people on here with me. Okay. So thank you so much, guys. That is all. As always, on the Athletes Hub, check out Free Baseball, the most consistent podcast on our show, on our channel, on our website. Shout out to you guys, Jake and Davis. And of course, sometimes I'm on there, but those guys are really carrying the load on this YouTube channel. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
I can hear the demons call when they do what they do. And now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. I just gotta get through, I just gotta get through. Cause I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all.
Real quick, shout out to the music, the theme song to the beginning.
It's not true, I wanna put up all my
Want some copyright music in the YouTube library. Thank you, guys.
Rest of the room. I know that time can heal it all if you're patient and soon. It can all be worth it, all the searching. Pain is never really permanent, but damn it hurts, man. I could feel all of the turbulence and it's concerning. I've been searching for a purpose, I hope it's worth it. This society is really trying me. Ain't no hide and seek, I hide to be far from anxiety. I need my space, I need my privacy. I need some silence, please, you're all too loud. You don't speak quietly, opinions violently thrown across every surface. It makes me nervous. Is the world honestly burning? That's all I'm learning. Hope that we can make a turn and start reversing. All our minds, we put the work in. We got some work, man. I can hear the demons call when they do what they do, and now I feel like taking off, find a place with a